So I have been in the studio for roughly about a week now. I thought I would give a little bit of an update as to where everything is at. It's been a bit hectic, to say the least. I picked up the keys and met with the contractor and gone over my designs for the studio. I measured everything out. I decided where everything's gonna go. It was way bigger than I remember it being. That was a little bit intimidating because it then meant that I had to make my plans bigger, which obviously I haven't budgeted for. Still waiting for a quote from the contractor on how much that's going to cost. I'm going to have to do a lot of the work myself. I'm a DIY girl now. Yeah, so a lot of the work is being done by me, and when I say the work, I mean base coats, plastering, painting, building shit, sanding stuff. The contractor is doing two main things. The contractor is doing the cyc wall, which is an infinity cove. It's going to be about 5 meters long, and a corner one, which was dream. He's also going to do a partition wall to separate the front section of the studio from the back. This is not so that there's more spaces to shoot so that I can section it off. It's actually so that there can be a reception area, which also works in big productions so that a team can be sat out of the studio in like a hot desk and lounge area so that they can work separately while the shoot's going on. So it creates a little bit more segmented space. The makeup table and like all of the accessories and things like that, I still haven't finalized 100% the way that's going to work, but yeah, mostly that's done. So I actually started the plastering. I was like, let me just get 2 pots of plaster, like ready made. I'm not trying to do it myself. I'm not trying to make the plaster. So I pre-bought some plaster. I plastered a whole damn wall, like 6 foot of a wall, and then realised that you can't plaster straight onto chipboard. So then went back to the drawing board and had to go and get an undercoat for the wood and went and painted that on basically. So that's where things have been left because that undercoat takes 24 hours to dry. My plan was to go back today and plaster again to see if that's worked. And the stairwell to get into the building was flooded. Everything in Manchester is flooded. Because it's a Sunday and it was early, there was no one else at the building, so no one could let me in. So we take it on the chin, we move. I'm just gonna have to leave it and go back and do it next week. I feel like I'm learning so much. Like, even though I couldn't get in the studio today, I've learned that that stairwell floods. So that's a conversation to have with the landlord now to make sure that that's draining properly so that if I've got clients or someone's hired the studio and they show up, you don't need freaking welly boots to get in because that's ridiculous. Or I at least have to be there with welly boots first to open the bay because there's 2 entrances. It's just that one only opens from the inside. So the pedestrian entrance was flooded. As for everything else, my sofa's in, I'm almost unpacked and I've had a night out. I'm kind of settled-ish. Half of my living room is still studio stuff because I can't take it to the studio when the studio is a construction zone. So yeah, it's been eventful. Until I've got a quote from the contractor and a deadline for the contractor, I can't set a deadline for when we open. My goal is to be open by Christmas so that I can market over Christmas and New Year and then start fresh for 2025 with bookings. Fingers crossed, that's the plan, but we'll see. Because contractors don't like to work over Christmas. Instead of doing like daily updates, I'm gonna start doing weekly videos that give like an update of where things are, and then just show things on my stories as and when they're happening, and then sort of do like a round off at the end of the week. So this is my first official round off for the week 1 of being in the space.